Former ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule has been expelled from the governing party. Of course, in a statement, the ANC National Disciplinary Committee has confirmed that the expulsion of Magashule from the party. Now, the statement reads that Magashule was found guilty of contravening several rules of the ANC constitution. The statement continues that after a guilty verdict by the NDC, Magashule was allowed to show cause why he should not be expelled from the ANC. Upon the lapse of 7 days, the ANC had not received any representation to that effect. Now, let's get a reaction. We're now joined via Zoom by political analyst Dr. Levi Ndo. Dr. Ndo, thank you so much for your time. Is this a surprise or were we expecting this?
Good afternoon to you, Unati. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. Well, if you look at what has transpired since Mr. Magashule was suspended and the processes that actually unfolded, one would say that it did not come as a surprise because, one, Mr. Magashule has been occupying the most influential and strategic position in the ANC, and also at the same time you expect him to be well conversant with the constitution of the party and everything that has something to do with discipline. At the same time, the NDC had given him an opportunity to come and make representations so that they could actually decide whether to come with a leniency or a lenient decision, or as to whether he would show some sign of remorse. And given that kind of an opportunity, we have not had anything, or they could not hear anything from Mr. Magashule. So one actually expected this decision to be taken.
Dr. Ndo, let's take it one step back for the benefit of our viewers too. You know, the statement reads that he contravened several of the ANC's constitution, including rules 25-17-12, 25-17-3, etc. Remind us again why he, in the first place, faced these disciplinary charges.
Well, you will recall that Mr. Magashule has taken a decision by himself to suspend the president of the party. At the same time, Mr. Magashule, there was a time in which he was advised not to participate in the activities of the ANC, and at the same time to behave in a manner that should not be contradictory to what the ANC stands for and the decisions that has been taken by the disciplinary committee. Unfortunately, that has not been the case. And I think at the same time, when you occupy a strategic position like that of the Secretary General, one would expect you to be the one who understands the Constitution very well, and you are the one who should be protecting the Constitution. Unfortunately, that has not been the case with Mr. Magashule.
You know, on Friday, President Cyril Ramaphosa signed a proclamation that gives essentially the SIU, you know, the green light to investigate him on several allegations. Just talk to us about what are the options for Magashule now?
Well, unless he had decided not to get involved with the ANC anymore, he might decide to just keep quiet and accept that he has been expelled from the party. What he might do, or he might also decide to write a letter to the officials of the party and challenge the outcome of the disciplinary action, maybe on technicalities and other aspects. That might give him a little bit of an opportunity to get a hearing. Or he might decide to get out of politics and focus on other things. Or he might also then decide to form his political party or join other political parties. Because for me, Mr. Magashule has always been involved in the political life, and he might not easily get lost to South African politics.
Dr. Ndo, appreciate your time here on the channel, and thank you so much for that reaction. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Dr. Liva Ndo, the political analyst. Let's get more reaction now. We are joined in studio by SABC News politics editor Mzwandi Lembeje. Mzwa, thank you so much for your time. So, I mean, a lot of reaction coming in, quite rapidly. Just talk to us what this means politically.
Well, a very good afternoon to you and the viewers. This is quite significant. I mean, the whole former Secretary General being expelled. And of course, it was unprecedented, the fact that he was even suspended. So that told you the deep political divisions within the political party. But I think now it really takes that kind of division to an even higher level. I'll tell you why. Because you would have people who would say, well, maybe that is what they've always wanted to do. And there have been talks and rumors that Mr. Magashule may be planning to launch a political party. I guess if indeed that is true, so he can then use this to say, I did not want to leave the ANC. The ANC pushed me away from them. So what option do I have? Because I am a political being. I mean, he's been saying, so he will respond at the right time. And then now that this has happened, it's going to be interesting to hear really from him. But other than that, politically, it's quite significant. It's the extent and the nature. And I know that he was no longer that active compared to when he was, who was the Secretary General. But the fact of the matter is someone who had been kind of like rooted in the politics of the ANC. It will be very interesting to watch.
Now, of course, everybody's saying that President Cyril Ramaphosa is now, showing his cards per se. But just talk to us about Magashule's tenure. I mean, in the political sphere, we know, of course, that he was, shrouded in controversy even since back to 2020, with the premiership in the Free State, corruption charges brought against him, etc. He's facing several charges against him as well. You talked a little bit about those rumors and undertakings, something that he hasn't actually come out to deny about him possibly forming a political party. With all of this that is happening that doesn't look necessarily good on his plate, how is he even going to come out and form something that is tangible and that South Africans will root for him or his supporters at the very least?
It will be very interesting to see his next move now. And I remember when that statement from the ANC came out to say he needs to respond within 7 days. He went on and then he created that video to basically say, you know what, I'll respond at the right time. All revolutionaries must stay focused. So, and then you then decode what exactly does that mean. So I think what he may try to do is perhaps to try and fight this. And then if then there's no prospect of it succeeding, then he would say, I tried everything. I wanted to be the ANC. I remain ANC. But right now, I've been pushed away as a political being. So maybe let me find a new home. So, and this will be very interesting. Look at the kind of the fractions that are really happening. As much as the ANC is very, very strong generally, but I don't think you want to be having all those kinds of chips away at you, because it could end up impacting negatively perhaps on the broader party. But I think it will be interesting to watch and to wait and see. And
as Dr. Ndo said, that he will probably want to fight this as a technicality, and he's always maintained that he did not receive that 6 June deadline, so of course that will be something that he will undertake. But let's talk about his allies. Who are people that are in his corner that we are likely to see him, going into a new home, too? And what does that mean for the ANC and, of course, the elections next year?
Well, you see, politics is such a very funny and interesting game. Because what happens in politics? I mean, we can be best of friends today, and tomorrow it's not necessarily the case. And when they were going to Nasrec, I think 2017, so they had quite a number of people who were coalescing around them. But right now, and look at what has been happening, I think one of the chief supporters of him, Kalni House, has formed his own party. And then some of the people who supported him in the ANC have remained in the ANC, and then they continuing with their life. So now, with him out, so how much of a risk will you take? I mean, he was suspended for the longest of times, and then if he was able to turn things around, I'm sure he could have impacted on what may have happened at Nasrec in 2022. The fact that he was already out there and then couldn't turn things around, yes, he will still have allies, but I don't think many of the prominent ones will want to come out.
Mzwa, let me ask you to pause there for a second, because we are joined now on the line by the ANC national spokesperson, Mahlengi Bengu Mutsiri. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. So, of course, the ANC Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, confirming there that the National Disciplinary Committee expelling Ace Magashule. Your comment, please.
Thank you very much for having us this afternoon. Yes, I can confirm on behalf of the ANC that the ANC National Disciplinary Committee has confirmed the expulsion of Ace Magashule from the African National Congress.
Now, of course, ma'am, all eyes are on the NDC. Do you expect Ace Magashule to, of course, appeal this? Because he has always maintained that he did not receive, in fact, communications regarding the 6th June deadline.
We had verified that public commentary by the former Secretary General, Ace Magashule, and went on to check with the Secretariat of the National Disciplinary Committee, and we can verify that all manner of findings and communications by the NDC were served with the residents of Ace Magashule. And I would also, this is a follow-up to a statement that we issued about 2 or so weeks ago, where we were updating the public about what the NDC had found. And the finding was that Ace Magashule had been given 7 calendar days to make representations to the NDC on why he should not be expelled from the ANC. Upon the lapse of the 7 days, the NDC was obviously obliged to then convene and map the way forward, and they've come to the conclusion that they've come to. This is an independent body within the ANC. Its decisions, all that we do in the organization is to communicate its decisions.
What has President Cyril Ramaphosa's reaction been when he was told about the NDC decision?
Well, the president gets told about the president gets. Are you able to hear me?
Hear you.
Okay. Well, I would imagine the president, like all other national officials, would receive the information from the chairperson of the National Disciplinary Committee in the same way that they did today when national officials met. And all national officials react the same way out of respect for the work of the National Disciplinary Committee. I don't expect that the president would have a singular reaction other than a collective reaction of national officials.
I am sitting with the SABC's News Politics editor, Mzwandile Mbeje, with me in studio.
Well, thank you very much, Unati. Mahlengi, just a very quick question on the unity of the party, given the events that have just unfolded. So how worried are you that 10 months before elections, the party is suspending someone who was the Secretary General, is actually expelling someone who was the Secretary General, and this could perhaps impact your support on the ground?
Well, I think that the current leadership of the ANC has been given very strong marching orders by the 55th National Conference of the ANC regarding the need to renew the organization and to act against all forms of malfeasance. Now, I'm not at liberty to comment on the merits or the demerits of the case involving Ace Magashule, because that is the domain of the National Disciplinary Committee. But that committee has acted and should continue to act in the best interest of the renewal project of the ANC. So in as far as, the pre-election season, that does not stop the ANC from putting its house in order. That would just be my, reflection on your question as well.
So are you not worried that this could be construed by perhaps some of his supporters as, in inverted commas, a witch hunt to get rid of him, as he was seen as someone who was opposed to the current president?
In your earlier analysis that I was listening to, you did make mention of the fact that this has been a protracted case. Indeed, it couldn't possibly be seen in that light, given the fact that this is something that happened, before the 55th National Conference, but also I think the 55th National Conference was emphatic that when the ANC exercises discipline, the ANC has got to be consistent in the exercise of discipline.
All right, Mahlengi, just one last question from me before we let you go. Of course, just your reaction as the ANC following the proclamation issued on Friday by President Cyril Ramaphosa, just giving the green light to the Special Investigating Unit, essentially to investigate allegations of serious maladministration in the Free State Premier's office during Magashule's tenure.
I think that regardless of who is impacted by any case that is before the SIU, regardless of who that is, I would like to believe that the law has got to be the law. That is all that we are willing to say on that matter. And I think we are confident as the ANC and we're comfortable that our law enforcement and our investigative institutions should really do this across the board, regardless of who or whose name is mentioned. And so we're comfortable with the process that is underway.
Mahlengi, thank you so much for your time here on the show and, of course, your analysis and conversation there with the ANC National Spokesperson, Mahlengi Bengu Mutsiri. Of course, I also like to thank my colleague here, News Politics Editor Mzondile Mbeje, for his analysis and his time here on the show. Of course, we are in conversation with various people and parties around the news just in. Former ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule being expelled from the governing party. All right, we take a quick break. We'll be back straight after this. Don't go away.